I've got Maori, native New Zealander, blood, and I went to a family gathering around Christmas when I was younger, the family being on my mother's side, where I get the Maori blood from. This gathering was way up in North New Zealand, which is mostly just Maori land and is rural as all fuck. No shit as me, and my family pull into the farm, it's being held on. There's a boar on a spit. Some of the uncles, adults were just called aunties and uncles, had caught earlier in the day using spears and knives. Anyway, there's a creek/stream that runs through the property, which the kids went down to and swam in most days. A lot of the time we'd all let ourselves float down a while on inflatables or just by the current. At one point on the bank on the farm side was about 2 meters high or so, but there was a small ledge about halfway down that you could get down on from the top but not the bottom. Me and 2 other boys reckoned it would be a brilliant idea to use that ledge for eeling. We told the adults and they just shrugged and told us to knock ourselves out. So me and these 2 guys, we go to this ledge a fucking bunch, using those hand casters, pick related, and having fun chilling in this picturesque place, surrounded by rolling hills, green fields, and bushland. Us 3 boys even found a cool place further down the stream no else went to, where only we would hang. But then it got weird. A few times out swimming all of the kids got a little anxious, and there was a couple of times we could swear we saw a figure standing on the far bank as we floated down the stream. It got to the point where me and the 2 guys were out eeling. We hadn't caught anything so far, which was weird because this stream should have been essentially untouched, and we saw a shadowy figure step out and walk towards us on the opposite bank, then begin walking across the water. Of course we shit ourselves and book it out of there. I remember being in complete terror. We told some of the older adults/elders about this and they seemed a little concerned, even when they dismissed it as it was probably just the farmer from the next property. But unless that farmer was Jesus from the shadow realm, I didn't buy that shit. Anyway, us boys had only been eeling during daylight hours and we wanted to go out at night because that's the best time to catch eels. One of the older cousins, early 20s, said he'd come along, and about 6 girls begged to come along too. So 10 or so people go out at night to catch some eels, all crammed onto this tiny ledge. We're there for a few hours, the girls complaining about being bored while us boys told them to shut the fuck up, worried they'll scare off the eels. That's when one of the girls gets a tug on her line. A tug that nearly pulled her off the ledge into the inky black waters beneath us. The older cousin grabs on, and starts pulling the line. He's digging his feet in and struggling. Me and the other 2 boys grab on too, all trying to yank this line up, thinking we hit the jackpot. A couple minutes go by when we get some progress, slowly pulling the line in. One of the girls turned on a light, but that's all over the place because they're all screaming and freaking out and shit, but I notice something long and really thick being pulled out of that water, with no indication of ending. An immense eel head eventually crests the ledge. This motherfucker was huge, slightly thicker than the one in the picture and way longer. This thing is a meter out of the water and still looks to have most of its body in the water. But this fat fucker's head is only over this ledge for a couple seconds when it lets out a fucking roar, a little like a dog bark but way fucking louder, and the line snaps as it slides back over the ledge and splashes into the water. We're stunned. And the older cousin tells us we all have to go back. So we walk back through the dark, a little disappointed, but also a little frightened. We swim in that creek, and a giant eel that fucking roars lives in it. When we got back we told the elders our story excitedly, with them nodding and wowing. But they didn't seem surprised and actually seemed relieved, but told us we weren't to eel in the stream anymore. After that, we didn't see the shadowman again, but not long before my family left whilst out swimming I felt something thick and slimy slide past my leg when we were near the ledge, and looking back on it I'm convinced as to what that eel was. In Maori legend/folklore there is a creature called the Taniwha, pronounced Taniwha, which guards certain areas in nature or is a guardian for tribes and sub-tribes, in which case it is called a koshiki, guardian. They generally take the form of sharks if in the sea, or an eel in fresh water. I think that the elders were concerned the shadow man was an evil spirit or ghost, and made an offering or summoned a Taniwha koshiki to protect us kids, and that eel was it giving us a warning, specifically that bark. Other stories I've heard about Taniwha have mentioned the roaring sound as well. I want to go back there in a couple of years and try and make an offering, even if it isn't a Taniwha and is just an eel. That bitch has to be about 80 to 100 years to be that big, and deserves respect.